Well, welcome everyone to Punish for Protecting live broadcast today. We are airing here on Facebook and also via YouTube, which is quite difficult little feat today. But we are in the beautiful studio here today in New Paltz, New York, and it is called 10 Horse Art Studio, where we will be filming our live productions here for Punish for Protecting. So I'm very excited about this. Thanks to Sarah Dipper, and you can't see her yet, but you will see her today. What I'm going to do right now, because I'm on two screens, we're filming live off of YouTube, and we're filming live here today, and we're going to have to somehow show everybody on both screens, and it's been a very difficult task today. That's why we're running late, but this was worth the wait. And I want to say, before I introduce my guests, I want to say that this is something that is so powerful and amazing. We have a full circle come back, okay? What has happened is, over 11 years ago, I entered the diabolical world of the Ulster County Family Court. Now, hold on, everybody. If you are not a New Yorker, it doesn't matter. This affects you in not only every state, but pretty much every country on our globe. This is the most abusive system. I have guests here today that are going to talk about their cases. And I have a guest on Zoom behind me here that we're going to talk about these cases. And just bear with us because we are about to show some really awesome evidence today with a man by the name of Brian Robertson. And we're about to show some absolutely amazing evidence today that is off the charts. Then there's going to be a part 2 coming up, because I have more evidence to show. We're not showing this particular part today, but I have evidence to show of judges at parties snorting cocaine, doing heroin, and doing meth in the Hudson Valley. And that's going to be happening sometime into the next couple of months. I have that stuff already recorded, right, live from within their homes. And I'm saving it just as I'm working through some things on a local level that I've been holding on to for quite some time. I'm saving stuff for certain reasons and causes, and just to see, always to make sure that my safety is perfectly safe before I start revealing stuff as we go. Well, first of all, we have here Erica Delaney, and say hello. Hi. And then we have Sean, what is your last name? Say it again. Sean Kern. And we also have our very own, did I say it wrong? Kern, I'm so sorry. And we have our very own Sarah Dipper, and she's also been awesome. She's been getting all kinds of certifications. She's advocating. She's learning everything there is to learn. Unfortunately, Sarah has, we're wobbling. Sarah has had to learn, like everybody else, the hard way. Through a very, very diabolical system. What I'm going to do first and foremost right now is I'm going to speak to Erica. Let's see if we can adjust this. I'm going to speak to Erica here, and we're going to talk a little bit about your case. Erica, we did an anonymous video quite a while ago. But tell us a little bit about your case. And before you do, tell me a little bit about your background. Do you have a drug history, a criminal history, a finding of unfitness or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And I know her personally for years, and I know her background. Tell me a little bit about you and your life and what it means to being a mother and so on.
Well, I'm a single mom of 4 kids. After a 15-year relationship marriage, I didn't expect to be a single parent for the last couple of years, but that's how my life turned out due to domestic violence. And my children are my world. You know, I have 4 beautiful kids who I raised single-handedly, and you know, they're my world. And family court has, you know, an ex and abuser, and family court has just put us through absolute hell for a few years. And you know, I don't know what else to say.
And now knowing you, because I know you personally, I know you for a number of years, I know you and consider you a friend. I know the background. So I know the phone calls, I know the fear, I know the protection orders. I know the lack of protection orders. I know the children. I know the bruises. So I can vouch for. We know that there are times when there are parents on both sides that make false allegations, and we're going to get into that a little bit today as well. We also know that what we've discovered is that good, happy homes, these CPS and family court are getting in and literally tearing good families apart and forcing, and I've seen a lot of this, forcing moms to actually put false allegations on dads in most cases and literally strip the man from the home. So it's almost like, and I actually put it in my book, it's almost the flip opposite of what should be happening is what is happening in these courts and in CPS. But in your particular case, you never felt safe. There was a long period of time where you, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but this is what I witnessed. There was a long period of
time where I was afraid for my life, yes, and the lives of my children, yes. Family court, the courts up here, the police did not protect us when they should have. They did not enforce a protective order when I did have a protective order. Mm-hmm. I had them actually laugh at my protective order and say this is a joke of an order because there was no footage listed for distance. The part in the order that is supposed to state an amount of distance for stay away, a full stay away order, was blank. So it said to stay away, blank distance of Erica Delaney and yada yada, my place of work and my place of residence. And so when he violated that, was stalking and harassing, and even though I had witnesses and neighbors had witnessed things, regardless, the police would laugh when they read my protective order and they would say, this is a joke. And they never enforced it. I had a district attorney tell state police that he refused to do a weapons seizure and uphold my order of protection at the time because he said it was retaliation, which the state trooper at the time, he put it in the report that that's what the DA had said, because to him it made no sense. He actually was trying to do his job. And he said to me, this makes no sense. He said, retaliation for what? I said, exactly, a weapon seizure is not retaliation. What am I retaliating for? My son at the time was, I believe around 11 years old, 12 years old, and he had said he had saw a shotgun at his daddy's house, and he wasn't supposed to have any weapons. And the shotgun was sitting between the wall and the couch where my son could have grabbed it, he could have picked it up, he could have shot it, it was not secure. Regardless, he wasn't supposed to have any weapons at all with a current protective order at the time. And the DA and the police could not enforce the order, they said, without the DA signing off that they could go in and do a weapons seizure. And the DA refused to do a weapons seizure. And it all had to do with who my husband knew. My husband trained cops in a private cop gym. He did night fighting. He's a professional night fighter. And so because of his connections and who he knew in Ulster County, they did not enforce the protective order. They continued to allow him to stalk and harass his family and continued to allow him to assault me and not be arrested.
So physical assaults.
Physical assaults after the separation, after he was out of my house.
And I know it was hard for you to even break up. You didn't, as your Christian faith, you really didn't want to break this up. It was a long time of thinking and contemplating and fearful, and all this led you to wanting to be safe and wanting your kids safe.
Right. Mm-hmm. And once he was out of the home and the locks were changed, he continued to assault after the fact and got away with it for the first year of our separation.
I remember that very clearly. Also, what about your children? How are they feeling about all of this? How are they feeling? Because we had a similar child attorney named Amy Ingram.
Yes.
And you never felt, it's amazing because we would say, not just she and I, me and other mothers and fathers that had her as a child attorney, we were comparing identical notes that she was lying about the children's wishes. Yes. She ignored everything the children would say about feeling unsafe. Yes. We finished each other's sentences on that.
When she was ignoring what my children's original feelings were when they had originally expressed their feelings towards her about their father and about visits in regards to her father, which at the time were just dinner visits, and different things that had happened during those dinner visits that were a concern, including, weapons, knives laying around and things that my older children, who were still fairly young themselves, were picking up and removing out of the way of our toddler. so that he wouldn't be grabbing a knife off of Daddy's coffee table and things like that. Besides ignoring that, my children.
So you're not talking about just like a butter knife. You're talking about
right.
like
I'm talking about like
weapons, knives, and yeah.
Right.
I mean, I just want to make that clear. She's
I'm not talking about a butter knife. I'm talking
crazy,
about
yeah, clean, like
a switchblade. We're talking about, he's a knife fighter. So regardless, once she had ignored all of their concerns and nothing had changed in regards to their visits with their father, my children did not feel protected, and my children started to shut down, and they started not tell her anything. And she would actually, at the end there, she would actually go through my ex, who wasn't even supposed to talk to me, didn't even have my cell phone number, but actually go through my ex to cancel visits with me with our appointments, which was crazy. I mean, I was a child's attorney going through my ex, who didn't even have my cell phone number, wasn't supposed to be communicating to me directly, to cancel my appointments for my children with her.
Now, I know this is probably an obvious question or an obvious answer to everybody, but how does it make you feel as a human being to be babysat and to be hovered over by a family court judge that's not listening to you, a system out there that's supposed to be in place to protect families, ignoring you completely? I just, like, in other words, ignoring you completely about the violence and so on and so forth, and how you feel about your children, versus having them hover and control your life. How does that make you feel as a human being?
Well, devastated. I felt horrible. I felt like I wasn't protected. I felt in fear constantly. I felt that nobody was protecting me and my family. And I felt like this is the system. I went to them for help. I went to them to do their jobs. That's what I thought they were there for. That's what I was under the impression that they were there for, was to protect me and my children. And instead they did not. Instead they put us in even more danger. And we just lived through hell for years, literally for years.
And you and I went through a very simultaneous. My book is very clear. My book is very, very clear. It's an absolutely 100% true story. You know me. Correct. True story, from soup to nuts, beginning to end. It is as it happened. And not just that, but I have transcripts in my book. My book went through a publishing company that had to research everything about it. Okay, so it is as clear and honest as can be. I'm a very upfront person. So you guys know what I went through for years, okay, trying to protect my own son and still trying to have some sort of relationship with the child and the father, but it was so detrimental. So I can feel you so strongly and know what we went through. I think you also have a federally protected confidential address too, or no?
I don't.
Okay, I do in every state, and so does my son. And they violated everything in my case. And I'm not here to talk about my story, but my story is very important. It's very important because, like, I also, like you, never did a drug, don't drink, have a very clean background. I'm a churchgoer like you. We have faith in God. We want the best for our children. We just want to be able to raise them and protect them, and didn't ask for this. And yet I personally feel like I was not protected. They ignored everything I said. My rights were ripped all over the place. Anything normal, there was no sense of normal of it. Same child attorney.
They violate their own orders.
They violate their own orders. Their orders don't make sense. You ask them to not let the person smoke around the children. They put both parents, no smoking. I've never smoked in my life. So that may seem silly, but it means a lot to somebody like me that has integrity. Okay, and if you smoke, you smoke. That's not what I'm saying. My point is, don't put something about somebody that's not their character. To me, that's something that's very important, and I feel invaded. I feel my privacy invaded. I feel that I didn't grow up to be an adult and to raise a family or whatever, to have somebody hover over me that doesn't care about me, doesn't love my children. We're just a number. It's just about the money. And then, of course, now as time has gone on, like I said, we got a whole, from where we started, where I began this work in Ulster County, now national, now global, back to Ulster County with what we're about to expose today. Stay tuned. Tell all your friends. Everybody has to hear this. This is the first time this is happening. This is breaking news, where you're going to find out the most craziest things that are happening and the names of the judges. And then we're getting into, after this one, we're going to be getting into real estate fraud, real estate theft, your grandparents, their estates, not just your children. Okay, we're exposing it all full circle. So this is not just New York, my friends. What we're about to show you today is going to show you New York, but it's going to also, this is something that's happening across the board. It's happening everywhere. Now I have a nice gentleman here. I call him a real man because I talk about this all the time. The domestic violence abusers are going to keep taking you back to family court. They cannot control you, so they control you through the fraudulent family court. I say it all the time. We have a real man here, a real dad, a real father, a father that we actually feel should have his children all the time, okay, because of just a lot of the manipulation of the portion and so on and so forth. These are vetted people here, so that we have on the panel, and also the gentleman that we have behind us that you guys will, that's on YouTube and also on Zoom. I know for years, I know the family, I know the story, I know the reuniting of him and his daughter. I got to expose that story, and I'm blessed by your wonderful story, Brian. But this gentleman's Sean. Let's turn this camera to you, Sean, and let's talk a little bit about, you have been put through hell. You have been put through hell, and you said something to me a little bit ago. You actually said that, well, let's have you say it. Let's talk a little bit about your case. First of all, where is your case being held? Where is your case being?
Legally, right now, I guess it would come down to it would be Pennsylvania.
Okay, but your case actually went through 3 family courts in 3 different states, or am I wrong?
It was on its way to 3.
On its way to 3 different states.
Mm-hmm.
And? Was this a marriage or?
No, we were together. We have 2 children, a boy and a girl, 5 and 6. This is back in 2016. We broke up, and it all started in Connecticut. So
it all started in Connecticut.
We had joint custody, and she decided she wanted to be together. She didn't love me, whatever. And so we broke up. And so she got with some other low-lives, drug addicts, and stuff like that.
Okay, so she got involved with drug addicts.
So
That's my point right there. Yes.
So what this was, like her thing was just trying to get these restraining order stuff so she could just move wherever she wanted. She knew I wouldn't want to move. And that's my big deal has been with her was that fight was like,
I'm sorry.
you know, her moving.
Meanwhile, in my case, I'm actually assaulted and they don't issue a restraining order after the first order expired.
And this is why I wanted to show three people before we take Brian on. Three separate stories, very similar. But the interesting part is that you've been in so many courts. Have you felt that they I'm trying to ask this without putting words in your mouth, but have you felt that any of them ran responsibly?
I'd say 50-50. I mean, it depends. I mean, obviously it's a process, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You never really go in there one time and stay really determined.
How many times have you been to family court?
I dealt with family court for probably 2 years.
2 years.
Like, all around, like, because it was going from one to one, because she was just bouncing around.
Do you feel respected? He's still kind of new.
I don't like the way that some of it is just, it's determined on what's on paper.
You're right, and they never look. They never.
They put whatever they want down, and they just look at that. They go off of that.
Right, right. And you just got done saying that they never looked into evidence, and yet they're a court. You would think, well, actually, I know this is going to come as a shock to you, but they're not actually a court. They're a for-profit private business. So is CPS. So we think we're going into a court, and we're not, and that's something that we've revealed. So that's what we're going to be doing a lot more today. Sarah.
Yes.
Sarah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, because you've been put through hell. I know your story in and out and up and down. As a matter of fact, Dutchess County, Judge Posner, if anybody looks her up, man, does she have a, I mean, they all have bad reputations, but she is the ice queen.
Yeah. Yeah.
The wicked ice queen.
Mm-hmm.
She's put you through hell.
Yeah. Yeah. She's literally the person that destroyed my life. Like, I went into court thinking that I would be able to see my children. The last time I had 2 court dates ago, November 23rd, I went. You were with me and you were sworn in as my ADA advocate.
Mm-hmm.
We both had a very good conversation with Administrator Posner. And when we were scheduled to come back, I begged her to do it in December before my daughter's birthday.
That's right.
Because I missed my son's birthday in July and I didn't even get a phone call to him, nothing. So I begged her to let us come back before my daughter's birthday, and we went back December 14th, and it was like a circus.
She mocked everything.
Everything.
She was retiring.
Yes.
We made the first time ever that after 3 attorneys though that we made some headway with her.
Yeah. Oh, and
you were shocked.
Yes.
You were shocked because I knew how bad she is.
Oh yeah.
And then she just turned it all around. Yeah. It was like I mean, I can honestly say because I was there, and you tell me if this is true. I feel like she actually did that to hurt you more.
Absolutely.
That's the opinion on her.
Absolutely, yes. And
gave you hope and then shattered you further.
Right. She dangled my kids in front of me, and for the past literally 3 years of my life, I have been doing nothing but jumping through hoops for these people and doing these parenting classes, all this stuff that they want me to do. And then you can see your kids. I complete it, I send the certificates, and I still can't see them.
And it's been how long exactly?
The last time I saw my kids was Mother's Day.
What year?
2017.
It's now 2019.
I'm sorry, 2018. I apologize.
Okay, and that was supervised though, correct? All right, now here's the thing, and I can vouch for you as well because I spent countless hours with you.
Yeah.
Countless hours with you. Long hours with you. Yeah. We do grueling paperwork together.
Yes.
I've never seen you high. I've never seen you drugged. I've never seen you shake. Yet that's what they're trying to put on you, and they completely left out the fact that what is wrong physically with you, like.
Right. I was born with a condition. It's a kidney condition. It's called medullary sponge kidney. It's not super rare, but like one of, I think 5,000 people are born with it. And what it is that I unfortunately produce kidney stones quite often, and I also have a very hard time with getting kidney infections where my kidneys are swelling. So it's very, very, very difficult because I am in pain on daily basis.
Right.
It's a pain management disease, and I refuse,
Mhm.
will not take any opiates for it because
I don't want to drop it.
because in the past that was the approach from the doctors, and it never got me anywhere. It got me to a place where maybe I was abusing pills, and then I wound up in a situation where that I had to go to detox and outpatient, and I've been clean since 2000, so almost 8 years ago.
So 8 years ago, and that was, and you know, I know a lot of people that have slipped up due to severe pain, and I know a lot of really nice families actually. They weren't doing any other drugs, just the ones prescribed to them.
Right.
And ended up becoming, and I'm not saying that I'm for that in any way, I'm just saying that it does happen and we need to be careful.
Yeah.
But 8 years ago, but yet you were okay to be a mother, and your husband at the time knew you were alone with the children all the time, knew you were with them, and he was okay with it until the breakup. Suddenly, now you're not fit, but you were fit prior. And I can tell you, I see this all the time.
Right.
I see it all the time.
Right.
And then your whole hellish nightmare continues till this day.
I was basically, it was never that he could understand where I was coming from. And he used to, unfortunately, he just beat me down every day. He, you know, walk into the house and if I was sitting on the couch and just looking tired because I've had a long day, I used to babysit kids on top of having my children home.
It's exhausting without having anything on.
So okay, I'm a little tired of sitting here resting my eyes, and he's saying that I'm drugged and I can't wake up. You know, this is the rumors and the things that he will spread around.
And yet they give children to drug addicts.
Yes.
They give children to domestic violence perpetrators. They had my son with somebody who literally did drug deals while he had my child with him. And he slept from house to house to house, and the alarms would go off from the police department at my house with their name on it, with domestic violence happening in the middle of the night. So they don't care about that.
No.
But yet they want to split families up when families are good and love their children.
Yeah.
Sarah, and I know this is like a typical question, but how does this make you feel as a human being?
I feel like
treated this way.
I feel like the supposed family court, private for profit business, has taken everything from me. I mean, it destroyed me. It's just completely. I just want to hold my kids. I just need to hug them and kiss them and tuck them into bed at night. I need my kids to be with me because I can't take this anymore.
I know, and we've been doing all we can.
Yes, and I've never been somebody that can sit down and read through a lot of things because I am dyslexic.
Right.
And I believe that I am self, because I don't absorb things through reading. I absorb it through hearing it in a certain way. So because of that, it's very hard for me to do paperwork and sit down and have them type or write or anything. But I accomplished something very, very wonderful, and I'm very proud of myself for what I've done. I just did countless documents. I mean, just countless documents, and driving back and forth to White Plains, going back and forth to federal court, which is very hard, long drives and a lot of money, a lot of gas and everything else. But I finally accomplished what I needed to do. And I feel very empowered. I feel very, very strong in myself now, because after having 2 paid attorneys and 1 court appointed, and they got me nowhere. I have nothing right now, obviously, so it was useless. So now that I have taken this into my own hands, I have come so much further than I ever did with the involvement of the court.
Absolutely, there's no question.
Yes.
I'm sad for that.
Yes.
I could have literally taken $200,000 and bought a house with it.
Right.
Instead of I feel like I took money and just burned it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I know that everybody feels that way. I know everyone feels that way.
Yeah.
It's literally a gamble with these attorneys. It's not even a 50-50 though. It's not even, that's not even, if the stakes were that high, it'd be pretty good.
Right.
It's not even a 50-50 chance. It's an utter gamble. Okay. And losing is pretty much the answer. And you're losing your money, or as a nation, we're paying our taxes to these public pretenders. And it's also a gamble. And you're not just losing your money, you're losing your children, your houses, your livelihoods, your cars, your vacations, your jobs, right? For what? So do you feel like your civil liberties have been violated?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like your civil liberties have been violated?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know I do.
I know for a fact that mine have certainly been violated when Posner put a gag order on me stating that I could not post pictures of my children on any social media. I could not say what I wanted to on social media. I couldn't post anything about my children or any court proceeding whatsoever. That is a gag order.
Which is illegal in every state.
Exactly. It is unconstitutional.
She switched it into the protection order,
right?
But the protection order was illegal to begin with.
Exactly. She, unfortunately, when she literally tries to control everybody in her courtroom.
Oh, I watched her.
And
I've watched her
and
too.
when somebody,
she's a very sick woman.
Yes. I've watched her too, and
yes.
not even on any of your cases.
Right.
On a relative's case, not my case.
She's a phony.
And she kicked me out of her court for speaking up. I raised my hand.
Good for you.
And she asked who I was and what I was doing there, and and I explained that there were 2 attorneys missing in the case to discuss the case and the hearing, or whatever it was for a hearing. I'm not sure about the legal terms, but either way, 2 attorneys were missing from the room, and one was the child advocate attorney, or the child's attorney. And she was forcing the female to the mother. She was forcing the mother to she was bullying the mother to try to go into proceeding without these 2 attorneys present, one being her own attorney and one being the child's attorney.
She's known for
because the other side's attorney is a judge in the town of Wappingers, and they're friends, and I know all this background story through other attorneys who've said to me this.
I know the same attorneys as you.
So anyway, right, Fran knows the same attorneys. But regardless, they were trying to bully the mother into moving forward and discussing the case with missing 2 attorneys.
Yeah.
And anyway, I finally had enough because it was abuse. It was abusive behavior, and it was bullying. Power. It was abuse of power completely, and I was just witnessing and watching it amongst other witnesses in the courtroom. And I raised my hand, and because I knew for a fact that she had a right to due process. She not only had a right to due process, but she also had a hired attorney, and her attorney should be present, and she had a right to counsel. Absolutely. And at the same time, the children's attorney was missing from the room. So not
that they tell the truth, but still.
All I had said, and I knew that the judge, because I've been in my own cases in the past. Now I'm done with court. I'm out of court. And, done with my cases. And I never thank the Lord, I've never lost my children. However, my children were put in danger with unsupervised weekend visits with their father.
And they continue
to be.
Continue to get bruises, continue to have things.
Multiple issues there. CPS did not do their jobs. They dropped the ball.
They never did.
The worker, Duchess and Ulster were supposed to be working together. And at the time of my case where they were investigating him, plenty of CPS workers, including the worker in our case in Duchess, had quit. They quit. And there's been, in the last year alone, there's been a turnover in CPS in Duchess County, 2 massive turnarounds where there's been, I think, a multiple amount of workers all leaving and quitting at the same time. Regardless, back to the Posner issue. I said, everybody knew, but going through my own court process, I knew that it should be put up for what they call second call when there's attorneys missing, or they might be in another courtroom, or they're running behind. I mean, in my own case, I had my own case in multiple courts put up for second call. So I knew that the judge should be putting this up for second call. So I raised my hand, and she asked who I was and asked what I wanted. And I said something along the lines of, if Your Honor, I believe this should be put up for second call to allow for the 2 missing attorneys to be here, something along those lines. And she slammed her things on her bench, and she slammed her things down, and with a huge attitude said, fine, we'll put this up, something along the lines.
So she knew you were right.
She knew I was right.
She gets to a point where she knows
because
you're
she
right.
was angry. She slammed her things down, and she basically said, I'm not quoting word for word, but she basically said, fine, we'll put this up for second call. You have 5 minutes for your attorney to get here. And that to me was crazy. And anyway, we were leaving the courtroom. Everyone was standing up to leave and do the 5-minute recess and wait, you know, to give 5 minutes for 2 attorneys to show up. And as we were leaving, I told the mother in the case, I told her that, you know, she had a right to due process. And the poor woman was sitting there shaking and stumbling and stuttering because she was so scared, and she's being bullied and berated by both the judge and head of the kitchen, the opposing counsel. And she, poor thing, is shaking. And I said to her, I said, you have a right to due counsel or due process, or, you know, whatever it was, your counsel. And the judge overheard me say something to her. And she said to me, excuse me, what did you say? And I explained to her what I had said, which there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Nothing
it's her legal rights. And I only know that because I've been through it before myself. And the judge said, well, I don't like your attitude. You're not allowed back in my courtroom when we reconvene.
My courtroom.
And,
my courtroom.
Not the people's court,
right.
My courtroom.
Private for profit business.
And I wasn't allowed back in there because she didn't like what I had to say. She didn't like that I stood up for the mother's rights. And she wasn't happy about that. So I was kicked out of the courtroom, which was fine with me because it was put on second call like it should have been. And then the attorneys did show up. And from what I understand, it went, the judge's attitude and her whole stance changed and was a completely different atmosphere in the room after the fact, is what I had heard.
Wow, you buying the demon. So Sarah, that's another thing. That reminds me, I'm going to talk to you again, Sean, and then I'm going to bring our special guest on. And forgive us for the way YouTube is looking. It's not as clear as Facebook, which means I'm probably going to change some of the editing for TV, because this is going to be on Delta TV, California. This is going to be on PA TV, Long Island, Panda TV, Dutchess, New York, Channel 23, New Paltz, New York. Very important that this is going to be very much exposed. But I do need, yeah, that's actually not too bad right there. Okay, so I do want to hear from you again, Sarah, though, because you, because of the PTSD and the fact that now she knew finally after 3 years, now she finally realizes you need an ADA advocate in the fake court, mind you, the fake court.
Yeah.
But anyway, you got to use what you got when you're in these little private for-profit businesses. You, I watched you because you were fine with the child support judge, because he was actually very respectful.
Yes.
But I watched you begin to shake. I know the signs to look for in PTSD, and I saw how she began to intimidate you, which I can say, and others can probably say, that when a person goes through this and you're feeling intimidated like that, you cannot think clearly. And because it's a fear factor, and intimidation is fear, you say the wrong things to appease the person attacking you, the bully.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what they use against all families. So nothing that's done in these fake courts is actually done properly in the first place. It leaves us all highly disrespected. How dare they? When this happened to you, and she swore me in, and I sat next to you, and we finally got somewhere. After 3 years, we finally got somewhere. Then she led you to believe that she was going to give you at least some kind of access to your children, which is what we requested. So she brought you before Christmas, and she brought you before your daughter's birthday, only to do what with me? What did she do with me? She swore me in again.
Right. She swore you in again, as she did on November 23rd.
And where'd she put me?
She made you sit in the back.
Could you see me?
No.
Could you hear me?
No.
Could you look at me?
No. Yeah, I wasn't even allowed to turn around and look back at you. They wouldn't even let me look at you.
And then what did she do? And then what did she do?
And then
what she said?
And then she tried to force me into saying that I signed on consent.
Okay, but before that, do you remember she said to you, "Don't worry, Sarah. I can let you recess with your advocate." So immediately I said to you, I got your attention, and I said to you, "Get a recess now," because I didn't want her to have you. And then what did she try to do? When you asked for a recess, what did she do?
I requested 10 minutes to go out into the hall with you and my mom, and just to go over what I should be saying, or what I needed to basically do in the situation. And like you said, you saw me go from being okay.
I saw you go from a confident woman to literally shaking.
Pieces. I fall apart. It's like, and the PTSD is so truly bad that for a time, I can drive by family court building without feeling anxiety and have my heart pounding out of my chest. That's
well,
serious.
Domestic violence victims feel like that.
That is serious PTSD. But there is also now, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but there's another diagnosis at this point that there are articles on the internet about it. Post-narcissistic. It's the same as PTSD, but it's because of when you live with the narcissist. And that's what I went through. I went through that with my ex very much. He never wanted to take any blame for anything. It was always, I did something wrong and getting up on me. So it's a very difficult situation when you have somebody that beat you down for so long, and then they bring you into a court
and beat you down there.
Right, and because
then they beat you down
because they can't do it face to face anymore, so they're going to abuse you through the family court system. That's what.
And then the court system itself, which is fake and fraudulent and private for profit business, and CPS is as well, private for profit business, which you're learning this now, Sean. How do you feel? Do you feel like you've been beaten down by this? Do you feel like, how do you feel about your rights just as a human being and as a man and as a father?
I'm not really sure. Like my incident was just like one incident, and they indicate me. It's like.
Did you want to talk about that? You never had anything previously. This is through CPS in what county?
Dutchess County.
Okay. Now I know for a fact, because I'm a national advocate, that CPS does not indicate real abuse. I can tell you this over and over again. We know of dead children. We know of abused children, beaten children. We know of sexually abused children. I have forensic medical evidence from several doctors on one child, like in many, many, many cases, and they don't indicate, they ignore it. When you call them for help, they don't do it. But in your case, you just spanked him one spanking, because I tell the story. I don't want to tell it for you.
Well, I was changing him, was going to bring him to the trampoline place house, and I was, standing up, and my one son was here, my 6-year-old, and my daughter was here, and they were getting undressed out of pajamas, and I was doing some clean clothes inside out, and arms up here, and he ran through with a partially
poopy diaper.
Underwear. Soiled diaper. It was about an inch from the nose, and I instinctively smacked him in the back as he was running by me to stop him. It was like another second.
To put the poopy underwear in the sister's nose.
Yeah, so
he was trying to do.
Nose full of poop. And so he went home that weekend. This was a couple of days. It was Thanksgiving weekend, and I had him for like 4 days, and it was probably 2 days into it. So he was fine. Nothing was said. He went home, and apparently he said something to the mother that like he shoulder hurt or something, and then she started questioning me, and then I told her what happened, and then the next day she said he went to school and told the teacher, and then next thing you know, Dutchess County CPS is calling me.
Right.
So I told him I could go and meet him, so I go to Poughkeepsie, and I sat down and I told him exactly what I told you what happened. And she's like, okay. Well,
did she ask you any questions about your past? Did she look up your background and see you have a clean one?
Yes, I have an older son with a previous ex, and
never an issue.
Never an issue. They contacted her, but they didn't talk to her. I heard nothing from the day that I went there and sat down for probably about 20 minutes, said what happened, this and that. That was a month later. I just get that voicemail saying that they closed the case and they indicated me, and that was the end of it.
And we just found out now that you were indicated, so we need to have that reversed and expunged from your record, because that's ridiculous.
I did myself as well.
Yeah, actually, we can do that.
I did appeal my indicated case, and I was overturned now.
Yes, which is what we did for Sean.
Right, and it really was just such it was, to me, it was like so aggravating, because people are sitting here accusing me of taking my son's prescribed ADHD medication.
And it was just an accusation.
Right.
So no evidence.
An accusation, and also because she wanted me to put him on more medication.
Right.
I refused to do it, and she got angry with me. And my son had surgery, had a perforated eardrum, so he hadn't had his medication in about 3 or 4 days. And then when CPS showed up at my house, and every single pill that was supposed to be in that bottle was there, but yet she didn't indicate.
But it's okay to do heroin and meth and everything else.
And literally, the CPS worker I thought was going to fall off my chair one time. I swear she's high. I know her eyes were rolling in the back of her head.
We have video footage of that.
Barely speak.
Not that particular one, but we have video footage of actually stoned, high and drugged CPS workers. Okay.
I knew of a CPS worker who actually was showing up in the bar and leaving her kids unattended, her and her husband leaving her own children unattended as a CPS worker at night while her and her husband were drinking in the bar. Regardless, that's another issue. But the comment that I wanted to make is, so you have two good parents sitting here to my right who were indicated by CPS, falsely indicated by CPS, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have my case where my son came back to me with, I took pictures before.
I saw the bruises.
She saw Fran saw the bruises, but regardless, in my case, I would take pictures before my children left me on Friday, and I had told CPS and family court and my lawyer and the police that when we met at the police station, I am surrendering my children to their father for an unsupervised weekends, and there's nothing I can do. I felt helpless, and I'm putting my children in danger, and I kept making it clear.
Being forced to.
Because I was being forced to.
What judge is it? What judge, by the way?
That was Judge Savona.
That's Savona in Ulster County Family Court.
Ulster County Family Court.
And I've dealt with
regardless,
Mr. McGinty.
So
which I'll get into
the
that.
thing is, with my case, is I was surrendering them, and I made it very clear that I'm surrendering my children on protest because my hands are tied and I have no choice. And if something happens to my children, I'm supervised for the weekend under his care. It's not on me. It's on all of you, including CPS. So in my case, then I would take pictures before they left me on Friday and take pictures when they returned to me on Sunday.
Very smart.
Well, my
Very
son
funny.
came back to me.
Keep records.
My 3-year-old came back to me with a strangulation bruise on his neck, and
No
CPS,
indication.
no indication. CPS was involved. I still have yet to get a letter, never got a letter from them that it was unfounded. They never didn't respond to my own domestic violence liaison and advocate through Grace Smith House. They failed to return phone calls to her, failed to return phone calls to me. And the excuses we got from CPS in Dutchess County was that they had to work with Ulster County CPS, and Ulster County CPS was not returning their calls. It was never indicated. My ex was never indicated with the strangulation bruise. And then 30 days later, a little over 30 days later, the same child ended up in the emergency room with gashes on the back of his head from another incident. And once again, CPS was involved. And once again, nothing came about of it. So here, and we have proof. And
I want to say something, because this is another thing that I can do is vouch, because I did a live video in a studio in Marlboro with Alana Orr, and she's also the head of Amicable in America. So she knows that I did 70 cases of families against McGinty and Mizell in Ulster County Family Court, and she was one of the cases. You, Erica, were one of the cases
I was
too.
also one of the cases too.
So Erica, I don't even have to say anything, but when that came back from the Committee on Judicial Conduct, and they didn't think anything was wrong with these judges,
my paperwork from Judicial Committee on the conduct, I actually got paperwork back from them that said they were investigating my case.
Yes, they were investigating, but I was the head of it. I was head of all of that.
But my particular case, I can only speak for, but I know that my paperwork, I got back from them a letter saying they were investigating my case. And then I never heard anything after the fact.
What happened was directly in October, I received, because I was the only point of contact that was, they actually, what's the word I'm looking for? I was the one that they designated. So the district attorney in Ulster County helped me compile it, all the evidence. It was my work. It was all my victims for years, okay? But at the end in October, what happened was, I'm trying to hold this. They had me, they sent me back a letter, and it said that all your cases were fine. All your cases were fine, okay? So what happened was, all your cases were fine, and 4 days later is when I lost custody of my son, Christian. They claimed that I didn't go to court, but I was never served, because I have a federally protected confidential address in the whole country, including my son. My son is on that as well. I was never properly served. I was put under duress, and I put my mother down real quick, and she never wanted this job to be the person served. She's also signed a paper stating she doesn't want it. She's a woman in her 70s. Why should she be put through this? What if she goes to Florida in the winter and they want to serve me and they serve her? The whole thing is insane, that people are forced. Like, in other words, your rights are completely forced upon against you. and they do whatever they want. And this is what we're fighting for in this country. But I do want to say one thing. Now we're going to bring on, and I'm going to actually just do this real quick for YouTube's sake. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to bring on solutions. We've got tons and tons of solutions through Punish for Protecting and our amazing classes. And you can do that by going to www.punish4beingaparent.com. Register, because we're doing all kinds of stuff. We're not attorneys. We do have some attorneys that help us sometimes, but we're not attorneys. But I'm going to play this just for the YouTube channel right now. And let's just bring this back, because we have somebody here that's going to show you overwhelming evidence of the frauds that they are, of the snakes that they are, and of the evil that they are, and what they've been doing to families. But this is going to cover the whole concept. Okay, now my special guest is Brian Robertson. And here you guys go with, this is the part you've been waiting for. Solutions and answers to the problem. Brian, come on out. The moment you've all been waiting for.
How y'all doing?
Good, how are you? We're doing well, Brian, we're doing well. So Brian's gonna be screen sharing, and Facebook can watch and YouTube can watch solutions. All kinds of good stuff. We got all kinds of evidence of the snakes.
Now,
I'm gonna move this.
before I show y'all some evidence of New York, for you to understand the evidence, I gotta give you some backstory, okay? I've been studying law for almost 7 years, okay? Now, about six and a half years ago, I found a case. And this case kind of shocked me, because it was definitely something we were not taught in school, okay? Let's see.
To say the least. Trying to get a good view for the audience and Facebook.
This case right here from 1993. Now, the case itself was overturned, but the principle it espouses has not been overturned since all the way back to the slaughterhouse cases. And it's the crux of the entire problem. You see right here, it says constitutional law. Privileges and Immunities Clause of the 14th Amendment protects only those rights peculiar to being a citizen of the federal government. It does not protect those rights which relate to state citizenship, okay? There was a cab driver that sued under the 14th Amendment, Title 42, Section 1983 of the U.S. Code, and he claimed part of the Bill of Rights as the civil rights violations. And if you look right here, it says, the Privileges and Immunities Clause of the 14th Amendment protects very few rights because it neither incorporates any of the Bill of Rights nor protects all rights of individual citizens, see slaughterhouse cases. Instead, this provision protects only those rights peculiar to being a citizen of the federal government. It does not protect those rights which relate to state citizenship. And what I discovered doing that, I mean, seeing this is, you have a dual citizenship and you don't know it. And if you look right here in paragraph 13, it says the Privileges and Immunities Clause of the 14th Amendment protects very few rights. To my knowledge, in the history of the United States Supreme Court, only one decision determined that a state violated this provision, and that decision was overruled within a few years, and it tells you the case. It says this, and if you, it says the Supreme Court held that this clause neither incorporates a Bill of Rights nor protects all rights of individual citizens. Rather, this provision protects only those rights being a citizen of the United States. It does not protect those rights which relate to state citizenship. The problem everybody's having is they don't know who they are in law. I know, ladies, y'all gave birth to the children, but you don't know the documents you filled out.
Yes. The birth
now, I'm going to show you the bottom of mine.
Bear with us, guys. We'll get that clear screen.
Now, if you look right here, it says Midwest Banknote Company. All these long form birth certificates are in law what's called a debenture. It is a type of security. They're put it on security paper. Okay. That security paper, these things are bonds. Now, the bonds are then used to fund the account sitting at the Federal Reserve. Now, there's going to be people that say this is crazy, and I'm telling you now, it's not.
Keep watching.
Okay. Now, I started taking a class at Harvard University. This one, it was a contract law class. And they talk about, when you're talking about family courts are not judicial courts. And I will prove that to you shortly. Well, let me correct myself. Only a part of family court is a judicial court. If you're going through a divorce, if there's a property dispute, or if two exes are fighting over custody, those are judicial decisions. But when it's an agency case, it is not a judicial decision. If you look right there where I circled, it says it comes under something called admiralty jurisdiction, and that is always in federal court. The admiralty jurisdiction is governed either by federal statute or by something called federal common law. The federal common law of admiralty, which is the federal common law of of contracts. We have signed a bunch of invisible contracts that we didn't know about, and we waived our rights.
So we're getting rid of it.
Now, we waived our rights to our children and made them wards of the state. And if the state controls it, how many times have you heard the Democrats say we need to invest in our children?
Right.
Now, people don't know about what that entails. Okay. I'm going to go back to Westlaw. I'm going to show you something. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's go to directories. Now, let's go to attorneys and judges. Now, watch this. I'm going to type in Mr. McGinty's name.
Anthony McGinty, Ulster County Family Court.
Anthony McGinty.
Get ready. This is what you've been waiting for, folks. We can do them all. Where did we done them all?
Let's see. You see right up here where it says references and reports, right? Let's see.
I'm trying to get this where it's supposed to be so they can see it on Facebook. You guys will be able to rewatch this on YouTube where it's full screen and clear, and I do apologize.
Let's see. Reports. Let's see. Litigation history report.
So I don't know if you can see, but right here it says State of New York Family Court, Ulster County. That's the Dun and Bradstreet fake private.
Oh, I will get to that. We'll get to that next.
And
see
also,
this?
we're going to get to the point where the private law that was passed for Indeed, we're going to have to talk about that because he's the one that actually bought it on Pacer. So the nonsense that's being told by Nico Hayes is a big lie. But
Yeah. Now, if you look right here, you see document types, okay? Dockets by year initiated, commercial law of contracts, domestic relations, family law, right? You would think family law would have CPS cases, correct? Now, anybody that's been involved in agency cases knows what the docket numbers look like. And you don't see anything in here. You see those numbers on the left?
Yeah.
The 0005297-2011.
Yeah.
Those are not CPS cases, and you will not find any. I went through our case,
So this is
me and my wife's case, right?
This is West.
This is Westlaw. This is, if you know what LexisNexis is or Westlaw, it's the repository that attorneys use.
Right, but attorneys don't want you to know about it.
That's correct. It says docket by year initiated. Okay. Our case, me and my wife's case, started in 2012. I was going through this thing, and it tells you, it puts it in order of date, as in descending instead of ascending. In other words, it starts at the latest. Our case started in June, and I went and looked, and I'm like, where is it at? So go down here to June. There's no case, not for us. So that got me asking more questions. Now I'm going to show you something I found out about Ulster County. Let's go back to reading.
So just remember, this can be done in any state, in any false court, in any maritime, it can be done, this can be found.
If you know what you're looking for.
Right.
Now, this right here is the business records for Ulster County Family Court, okay? Anybody that's been there knows where the address is. There's Lucas Avenue, right?
Yeah, which now it's moved into a $1.1 million building on Ulster next to CPS and ESS. So it's a one-stop shopping for all your family's troubles.
Now, let me explain something to you. All administrative agency cases fall under the executive branch. Who is the executive branch? Michael Hines, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's scroll down. Let's go, I think it's page right here. Now, you see right here, this right here.
Yep, Dun & Bradstreet.
Now, right here it says the name of the business is called Ulster County. Now, here's the name of the business. Ulster County of Family Court, not Ulster County Family Court. The legal entity has its own DUNS number, okay? Yeah. There's the address. You see Ms. Katrina Lasco is who to contact for the business. Look right here in that bottom, says sales from location per year.
Robert, hold on for a second, Brian, because this is what we've been talking about. These are fake private for-profit businesses. That's why they all have Dun & Bradstreets. That's why we've been doing the paperwork we've all been doing. That's why everybody's been lied to and deceived for years while they've stolen your families, your children, your livelihood, your bank account, your inheritance, your grandparents. They've stolen everything. They are a business. But if you look at this one right here, Katrina Lasco, who's known as Kathy Lasco, and she is actually the secretary to Judge Anthony, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say judge, Administrator Anthony McGinty.
Now, if you look right there in that bottom square where it says sales from this location, and they reported $4 million in 2016.
I don't know if you guys can see this, because on YouTube you'll see it really clear, but the sales from the location, and this is before they moved into the $1.1 million business that we're paying in our taxes, $4 million in 2016. $4 million. If you want to know why you're selling your children and stealing them, the reason is they have to pay these.
It is your children, but not your children. Okay.
No, it's everything.
It's let's see if I can find it here.
Can you go back for just one quick second? We have people taking screenshots. Just go back to that real quick and then we'll. The 4 million, if you don't mind, Brian.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Well,
Okay, it's not there, so.
Every year, it's 4 or 5. It's right now it's up to 6
So
million.
they made $4 million
They made $4 million, and people want to know
off
why.
of our kids suffering.
Yeah, you got
Oh,
it.
that's great.
You got it.
Yeah.
And they made that. That's just one court.
That's
They made
horrible.
that. They made that in. But they talk about how it's free because you have public pretenders. Who do you think pays for that?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Now let me explain how this works. Okay. Now I went back to that. If you do the real research through the history of what a bank is, you will find out that. You want it big, larger?
No, your sound louder. Yeah, that's good too. But if you could sound louder, it was good before it kind of went low.
Okay, is that better?
Mm-hmm.
If you do the legal research on what a bank is, you will find out that courts are just banks. Okay, they monetize these cases.
That's right. That's right.
Now, let's see. Let's go back to Westlaw because I live in North Carolina.
Yep.
Okay. So let me change.
How dare they call them honorable? How dare they call them honorable?
Let me change the jurisdiction. Go to my home state because I know what I'm looking for. United States obligations.
I don't know if you guys can see.
This is the same in every state. Let's see.
It can be done in every state, everybody. They're Westlaw. And this is
now let's see. Statutes.
To do nationwide to save your families. Your families have to be saved. And your grandparents. They're stealing your grandparents. Okay? They're stealing your grandparents. They're stealing your family's inheritance. It doesn't matter if you're wealthy or poor or anything in between.
Like the pharmaceutical companies, they don't charge.
Where did I find it?
It's hard to more money for prescriptions.
But wait, $4 million just went into that court, but they're worrying about a $5 million wall.
Yeah,
like that's
right. Yeah.
But you have to understand, times that by every state and every fake court in the country. Okay, how about the national deficit?
How about the country of his future is in jeopardy?
I don't know where it's at right now. Let's see.
Okay, that's all right. Can we get to the, go ahead. I would like to get to the private law that we're all fighting for and to tell everybody to make sure that they opt in because we have to save each other from this. And that's how we can do it. We paid for it, it's already, you know.
Well, the thing you're wanting to get to, we will get to. Okay.
I just have a 2-hour special. That's all I can do at one time. I want to make sure we.
Here we go.
This is the most important part of this video is what you're doing right now, Brian.
Now, I done my search term wrong, so I'll do it this way. Accept. Good reader. Here is the statute I found. If you look on the screen, it's from North Carolina General Statutes 7A, subchapter 3, article 12. It says the clerk of the Superior Court may in his or her discretion invest monies secured by virtue or color of the clerk's office or as receiver in any of the following securities. Okay. Now, when they securitize the account, what's it say? It says obligations of the United States, which means if a U.S. citizen is in the court, it's an obligation of the United States citizen. And it's obligations fully guaranteed both as principal and interest. If you ask the judge for what's termed the matrix, that's all the financial documents behind the scenes in your case. They're going to act ignorant. They're not going to want to give them up, but they trade these in municipal bonds. Okay. I've been studying this stuff too long. There are some people that thinks it's crazy. I can send you stuff and send you links to go look up stuff.
Oh,
and
it's
it'll blow
not
your mind.
crazy. It's right on. It's not crazy. It's what we've been teaching in the classes. We're doing bill of accounting against them now. We're doing a lot of different things against them at this point now. And we want, first of all, that's what everybody needs to do is a bill of accounting. And also we need to hold against their bonds too and start getting our money back from this crime scene, criminal industry.
See, what people don't know what happened in 1933 is the bankruptcy. Okay. The bankruptcy of the United States, we've been in bankruptcy ever since. Okay. Let's go here. Proclamation 2039, which was signed by Roosevelt, declaring a bank holiday. Okay. Now, let's see. They changed their, already know they changed their thing, but it's the best way to get it. Let's see. Don't remove it. Let's see, archive, it's loading. Yep, they sure did. That's where it was at. So let's go here. Let's see if it's at Princeton. Proclamation 2039.
Yeah.
The entire, see, I want the text. Because the text is important.
Proclamation 2039, declaring a bank or the bankruptcy, right?
Yes, because what he said in the next to last paragraph of that was that the banks, talking about the Federal Reserves, right, was to start new accounts for all deposits, withdrawals without limit, or invested in United States obligations. This was all to be done at the Federal Reserve.
Crazy.
Let's see. I can't believe they got rid of it because I was showing that to everybody.
Okay, that's all right.
Now, if you go into Black's Law Dictionary, which I'm going to do that now, and you look up some terms like license, a license is a permission to do something that is otherwise illegal. And what I tell people, I said, at what point did it become illegal to marry, illegal to have a business, illegal to travel, illegal to own a gun? Because you got to be licensed for all this, right?
Right.
Now, yeah, now, in this Law Review Journal, you see the title here. It says Law, Science, and History, Reflections upon the Best Interest of the Child. In the best
Sound just went down. Brian, your sound went out. You guys will be able to watch.
He compared it to slavery.
Clear, and I'm going to put the two pieces together for a TV edited version. It'll be nice and clear for everybody to see. But this is really important. What you're about to see, what you've been watching. Okay, Brian, we can't hear you.
I know I wasn't saying anything. I'm looking for that page. It says, okay, right here. American slavery followed this pattern. The condition of the American slave family was mixed with issues of law and practice. Descriptions of the relevant law are found in treaties of both uncritical and abolitionist scholars. In the former category, Thomas R. Cobb, confessing a bias by the birth and education in the slaveholding state of Georgia, reported that the slave had no legally cognizable right of marriage, family inheritance, or parental custody. Michael Goodwell, writing as an abolitionist, saw the matter no differently with respect to the legal rights of slaves. A slave cannot contract matrimony. Okay. Now that's how my dad got married. He didn't go get a marriage license. The association which takes place among slaves and is called marriage, and you have to go get a marriage license, being properly designated by the word contubernium, a relation which has no sanctity and which has no civil rights are attached. These laws do not recognize the parental relation as long as belonging to slaves. A slave has no more legal right, authority over his child than a cow has over his calf. In the slaveholding states, except in Louisiana, see, Louisiana is a Napoleonic Code state. No law exists to prevent the violent separation of parents from their children or even from each other. Slaves may be
violent. Say that again.
In the slaveholding states, except Louisiana, no law exists to prevent the violent separation of parents from their children or even from each other. Now, some people are going to say, you're just reading into stuff. Really? Let me show you something. If you go through the statutes and codes of many different states, and those that don't take me serious, I'm actually in law school getting my Juris Doctor.
You go, boy.
Let's see, right here, birth certificate content. Infant of unknown parentage. Almost. I haven't got every state's done. Okay. But you can see here, I've got a long list of them. Okay. If you go look up birth certificate content, okay. Now, the one I know by heart is KRS 213.051. Contents of birth certificate. You will not find it talking about parents. It says the person who assumes the custody of a live-born infant of unknown parentage shall report on a form and in a manner prescribed by the state registrar within 10 days. That's going to be important. To the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, the following information: the date and place of finding, sex, color, and race of approximate birthday of child, name and address of the person or institution with which the child has been placed for care, name given to the child by the custodian of the child, other data as required by the state registrar to complete a birth certificate. Okay. The place where the child was found shall be entered as the place of birth. A report registered under this section shall constitute the certificate of birth for the child. Now, why I said that 10 days is going to be important is the last paragraph. If the child is identified and a certificate of birth is found or obtained, you want to tell me they lost it within 10 days?
Right.
It's not talking about that. The report registered in this section shall be placed in a special file and shall not be subject to inspection except under the order of a circuit court. Now, I sat down with a CPS agent in Texas and broke all this down to her. And I said, tell me something. Have you ever seen any papers call up parents? It's parental custodian, parental guardian, custodian, or guardian. It never says parents in almost every case dealing with an agency. She said, oh my God, you're right. They consider you a custodian of their property.
Tell them to give birth to the child.
But they don't want you figuring out this stuff. And there's a lot of people out there, like I said, they're going to say, oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about. But look, every state written the same way. Date and place of finding, sex, color, or race, approximate age of child. I talked to a lady that's in foster care. When her son was born, she takes care of children that are 12 and older. Okay. I was telling her about this. She said, you're right. She said, when my son was born, my aunt is an attorney. And she said, do not fill out the Social Security and birth certificate. I'll be there as quick as I can. And they filed their own. You have the right as a man and woman to file your own birth certificate and claim your children. But they don't tell you that. They want you to turn them over. They want you to give them where you're the guardian. Now, let me play a portion of this video, okay? And this is from the federal, this is from the Federal Judicial Center admitting this. Now, tell me if the sound comes through.
And getting the correct legal name of a registered organization, which is
what she's talking about. Just give you some background. She's talking about perfecting a security interest and a proper filing process for UCC1. Okay, but more importantly, listen to what she says. Talk about the legal name.
So it raises the stakes, and getting the correct legal name of a registered organization, which is another new term, which means a registered organization is an organization where the state maintains a public.
Okay. Let's try that again.
There may be a few as we speak.
So it raises the stakes, and getting the correct legal name of a registered organization, which is another new term, which means a registered organization is an organization where the state maintains a public record of the organization's name, or must maintain a public record of the organization's name. Showing that it existed.
I've heard it sometimes referred to as the state issues a birth certificate.
Right.
Did you hear that?
Yep.
What did he say? And the state issues a birth certificate.
Crazy.
This is the Federal Judicial Center. All these people are in judicial official capacities in some way, shape, or form.
The whole time. Like, what was funny about it? I didn't find that funny.
And that's what I'm saying. People can deny. They can deny all day long. And it don't matter. Okay. It's my buddy Kenny has called me twice. He said, show them the $90,000 payment to the Social Security account. Let's see. I'll show it.
All our birth certificates are federal bonds they're making money off of. All.
See.
That's why they don't make normal decisions on purpose. Look at this. Look at this amount.
$90,000.
$2,000.
This right here was what a guy used. He typed in the how many of you've done an ACH? You've done an ACH, okay? You type in pick a federal credit union, and they did. They picked one in Alabama, and then it recognized the bank. They put the routing number in, and then the guy that owns the house put in his social. He paid $90,000. Now, did it go through? Yes. Did it get reversed? Yes. Because there are forms at the Treasury office for you to fill out that you've never filled out identifying yourself. And if I got access to your bank accounts and you called and said, I didn't make that payment, see, they don't recognize you because you've never identified yourself. Now, let's see. FS form recognition of guardian, I think is what it is. Let's see if it comes up. I know I've got it. Is that it? Why is there in a form at the Treasury office his application for recognition as natural guardian of a minor? In box 3, what's it say there? Parent?
Guardian. It says guardian, not parent. It says guardian. Minor.
Yeah, but if you look at box 3, relationship to minor. Parent.
Minor. Oh yeah, parent. Then it says furnish chief support or other.
Okay. Now let's go here. People say this stuff don't exist.
I'm getting more and more.
Trust me, I'm having a pissing contest with the Treasury right now. Let's go to the banking regulations. 31 CFR 363.6. This is terms you may want to know. Now, let me ask you a question. How many rights does a minor have?
How many rights does a minor have? Anybody put it in chat? I have no idea. I would say more than me. I'm kidding. Just ask them.
Well, they have very little rights, right?
Yeah.
C.F.R. Oh, I'm in the wrong jurisdiction. Let's do it this way.
North Carolina.
Yeah, I'm in North Carolina.
North Carolina is a very corrupt state. Good old boy state.
Oh, don't I know.
Arizona is a very diabolical, evil, wicked state. Child trafficking, sick state. I mean, they all are, but some of them have stronger emphasis. New York is about to come down. Like literally come down. God's wrath. I mean, I believe it, with aborting a baby up to 9 months. How sick is that?
Let's do that, do that, do that. Now, 31 CFR 363.6. Now I should be able to find it. Here we go. Special terms. What special terms do I need to know to understand this part? This is the Bureau of Fiscal Services. Scroll down to the word minor. You'll be surprised to know all of y'all are minors. And if you look right here, okay, it says minor means an individual under the age of 18 years. The term minor is also used to refer to an individual who has attained the age of 18 years, but has not yet taken control of the securities contained in his or her minor account. Now, who owns the account? The minor account is an account established by an individual custodian for an individual who has not yet reached the age of 18 years. We do not permit an entity to open a minor account. A minor account is linked to the custodian's primary account. The minor is the owner of the securities, but the custodians control the account on behalf of the minor. Because why? When you filled out that paperwork for the Social Security card,
yep,
you created an account and you didn't know what you were creating. Now, because there is personal information, I sent in 5 forms to the Treasury. And I got a letter back from them. They didn't deny the account.
Huh.
They actually admitted the account existed, but they did not want to give it to me. So now I've got to send another response to them a second time. See, things are not what people think they are. And if you don't know how the system works, you're never going to be able to defend your right. And these judges know this.
And Brian, this is the reason that we get trolled the way we do, because they must be working for them, because there's no other reason why they would attack us for exposing this truth, for giving you remedy and relief for this truth, you know, and for being able to save our families and our elderly and our children and our houses and our property, our inheritance, other than
the stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah.
McGinty knows this stuff.
Of course he does.
I went and found, look, if you look right here, you will see.
Here we go, folks. Here we go.
You will see.
Pull it up. Anthony McGinty.
This is his. Okay.
His name. Hold on. I just want to make sure they can see this. I'm going to move in slow. I'm going to watch this.
Ulster County Family Court Judge in New York.
Anthony McGinty.
Now you see now.
Anthony McGinty, we're showing about this is all of them. I mean, we've researched all of them.
This is just one of the many.
Yeah, this is one of the many.
Now,
but this is the one that went after me and so many people. He targeted me 4 days after a report came back.
He if you look right there where it says debtor information, he has registered his name as the debtor. The secured party, you see right there where it says own bank and trust company?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So is the man the debtor? No, it's the office.
Yep.
They're funneling money through these different offices.
I want you to say that again so they can hear what you just said. They're funneling money. Go ahead, Brian.
Through these offices. Title 4E and Title 4D is small potatoes,
right,
compared to the securities
yeah,
that they're trading in the municipal bonds. If you ever get an investor that has access to a Bloomberg terminal, they can find the QSIP numbers for every one of your accounts. That goes against that docket number. That's the reason why they're out there doing the stuff they're doing, is because they're making money off our backs.
There you go. You see it? Yeah. What about the part that says terminated or termination?
Well, see, any kind of trust that is made can only last for so long. It has to be renewed.
Okay. Mm-hmm. No, sorry guys, we'll get this up. This is like very clear on YouTube though. Very clear on YouTube. Punish the number 4 protecting. And we will splice the 2 videos together. So the original interview and then this here on YouTube are going to be cut in half and put together. So when they go on the TV stations, it'll be nice and clear for everybody to see and learn from. But this is exposing all the courts. You can expose any of them the same exact way.
And how they're making money on you and your children.
And your families and your property and your grandparents.
Yes. Now, because we're so limited on time, I can't go into all the detail. I'm just showing you bits and pieces like a crash course.
Right.
You can go to any public school, like a community college that teaches law. You have a right to go there, and you can go into the law library, sit down.
Right to know law, recite law, and speak to each other about law. Otherwise,
yes. Now
you're
you
not
can go
competent like they want you to think you are.
You can go into.
You don't have to be an attorney.
Oh no, attorneys don't like me. I've run 4 attorneys off of my case.
Well, I mean, listen.
Oh, speaking of the attorney.
Wait,
I'm glad you said that.
As you're looking for that, let me just say something. If we're incompetent, then we shouldn't be held accountable, period. If we're incompetent and we don't understand law, and we need somebody to speak for us, then we could break all the laws we want and we shouldn't be held accountable for it because we don't understand it, right? We're ignorant to it. So the whole thing is a conundrum, if you want to go by what they're trying to say.
Look, my attorney, well, he was my attorney, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm going to show you something he put in there. I don't know if he thought he was being slick, or was he actually very veiled like admitting it, okay?
Oh, liars, snakes.
Let's see. He didn't know that. He knew I have he knows I got Westlaw because I let him know. I let it know.
Yep, I remember.
And I let him know in the beginning. If you see this right here at the bottom of the page where it says 22 NYCRR.
Hold on a second, Brian. Your case was one of my 70 cases that they abused. That you're another person.
Now you see. Now you see right here where they cite 22 NYCRR 1200.15.
Yep, I see it.
That is actually repealed. Now, why would he cite the repealed version? Okay. That's where he was being slick, because if you look up the new version, it says the same thing. Okay. But just because, let's see, NYCRR 1200.15. Now,
Rules of
1200.
professional conduct.
Rules of professional conduct.
Yeah, give
They
us
absolutely admit in the rules of professional conduct about the money.
They admit that, and they admit that they violate it every day too. Despicable behavior.
A lawyer shall not make an arrangement for charge or collect excessive legal fees. Where's it at? Let's see.
Huh?
It talks about where, oh, wait a minute. I gotta scroll down. 17.
Well, while you're looking it up, I just want to also remind everybody, you can also get into our classes, Punish the number 4 being a parent.com, register, because we teach so many wonderful things to protect you, like a bill of accounting, declaratory judgments, David Straight's affidavit, repudiation, opting in so that you can get your immunity and protections. That's one of the big ones that we're going after right now. It's already been paid for, and everything that we're doing works. I wouldn't even teach it if it didn't work.
Now, if you look right here, it says there's 1200.15, which has the new one is just called Rule 1.5. It says preserving identity of funds and property of others, fiduciary responsibility, commingling and misappropriation of client funds or property, maintenance of bank accounts, record keeping, examination of records.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the identity? What funds? Most people in CPS cases get appointed an attorney. So what's the funds and property?
Whoa, Rob,
now,
my God. Brian, you
property. Now let me explain something. In law, property doesn't mean what you think it means. Property doesn't mean that phone you hold in your hand, the house you live in. No, property is rights and interest in a thing. So when they trespass upon your rights and interest in a thing, they've trespassed upon your property. The funds, again, goes back to the securities. Why do the attorneys not tell you that? When I filed private bonds into the court record and sent GSA bonds privately to the judge, he immediately filed papers, the paper I just showed you, to be removed from the case, and quoted this and said, I'm preventing him from being able to manage that information.
Who was the one that got off the case? Which judge?
No, it was the attorney, Kevin Reeves.
Kevin Reeves. Right. And it says right here, a lawyer in possession of any funds or other property belonging to another person where such possession is incident to his or her practice of law is a fiduciary and must not misappropriate such funds or property or commingle such funds or property with his or her own. And then meanwhile, that's what they're doing around the clock. They're charging for text messages, the air you breathe. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, the money they're stealing.
See, they're placing liens. What they're doing is they are borrowing against that account that I've been talking about.
Yeah.
Now, that video I played earlier, if you listen to the whole thing, he proves it.
This is awesome. You just blew them out of the water. Blew them out of the water. You blew them right out.
Now, I will say this. I do not 100% agree with Francesca on what she says is the remedy. It can be a remedy if you know what you're doing.
That's why we only let them go through the classes. They don't do it without knowing what they're doing. We're never that irresponsible as the judges.
You have got to see under the Constitution.
But you have to remember something, Brian, especially with David Strait, 600 of them that have been filed, not one of them have been rebutted. Not one. Not a single one.
Some people say that this case, it's the one with Bradley Christopher Starks. I found this case because of a guy on YouTube. That's all he's been talking about for 2 months.
Yes.
So I went to Pacer.
Here we go,
I went to Pacer and downloaded the whole case. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yes, there is a lot of things here, and you see,
you paid $100 for this, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I had to pay for it.
And somebody tried to attack it and pretend that it wasn't what it is, and
yeah, they did.
And they're dead wrong.
But the one thing they didn't look at is satisfaction of judgment.
That's right. Satisfaction of judgment.
The very last thing.
Boom.
I certify that documents to which the certificate has been attached have been prepared with one of the font and point selections approved by the court in LR 51B for documents prepared by computer. Hereby certify that I electronically filed the foregoing notice of satisfaction of monetary portion of judgment with the clerk of court using that. Okay. So am I going to say that what?
November 2018. And that's what he left out. He went back to, he was on the wrong date and everything because he doesn't know what he's talking about. So
now I will. I know one thing. This guy's stuff, it's still got some stuff going on with it. I'm not going to lie about that.
What happened was he went back. What he did wrong was he went back into a civil court when he didn't have to. He already had everything he needed, and he made it that one error, which was foolish.
Now, oh yeah, once the court don't have jurisdiction, once the court don't have jurisdiction, you better walk out. If the judge hollers at you, you ignore him and leave.
That's right.
But what I found interesting is, let's see, is it? I think it's. Let's see. That's the petition. Okay.
In other words, folks, once you get immunity, you're free. Don't put yourself back in bondage again.
No, a state citizen is already immune.
Right.
But you've got to be able to notify all the parties of your state citizenship, which they've never taught us that. What do they teach? The 14th Amendment. What do they teach? You're a U.S. citizen.
Right.
Okay.
And then these folks out here are trying to call it sovereign citizen nonsense. They don't even know what they're talking about.
I had somebody try to tell me that, and I looked at them and said, "What are you talking about? There's no such thing."
Absolute ignorance, third grade level. Okay.
There is nothing in law.
Right. Like a person's going to go public and put your face out here and do something so stupid. Think about it.
There is nothing in law called a sovereign citizen.
Thank you.
Now, where are the orders?
We got to wrap it, Brian. Yeah. We got to wrap it or we'll never get it on TV. We got the most important stuff out though, everybody. So.
No.
You got more good stuff? I know you had the main points, the ones I wanted.
There was one where it just kept going on and on about it is further ordered, it is further ordered, it is further ordered, and it was like, wow.
Yeah, Christina.
See that this is one of the contracts. Okay.
Sovereign citizen. Christina's in our classes. She knows. She knows.
Here's one of them.
Further ordered that the interest of justice, the following cases, dockets, pleadings, papers in their entirety. Oh, you moved too fast. I was reading it.
Didn't mean to. I tapped the screen.
The matters related thereto will be and are transferred to the United States District Court for the Northern District of Georgia, Atlanta Division. Yeah, I mean, they made out like bandits, and we're going to also. That's why everybody has to go to my Facebook page, find the immunity, not sovereign immunity, not diplomatic immunity, just simple immunity. It's already paid for. Follow the simple process and opt in and bombard them. We've got groups all over now that are going to be doing it. We would like to see hundreds of thousands. We need to protect our families. You can join us on Punish for Protecting, Punish #4, beingaparent.com and register. And the best way for us to help you is through the classes, because I'm only one person and I can't do one-on-ones anymore. There's way too many of you. Brian, I appreciate you doing this today. This has been wonderful. We'll have you back because we do have a second one where I do have more real estate fraud in the state of New York that actually is operative through the entire country and all CPS and all family court. And Brian, I know you have a lot on that too, as well as parties being held in Ulster County, New York, where judges are doing cocaine and meth and other drugs, where we've got inside footage. So we're gonna save that for a couple, probably like 2 months out, and use it when necessary. But Brian, did you want to wrap it with anything right now? Because I can't go further than this time, so I can get it on TV.
I know that if you want them, if I'll share information with those, if you want to help them get in touch with me later.
Yeah, we're gonna have you in our classes too, so you can like work with us together, because we're doing the same exact thing. You just had the awesome evidence here that just is mind blowing.
This process, I'm doing some of this stuff. Okay. Yeah. I'm changing my status to a state citizen. You have the right to do that. Okay. I'm working towards that. I got a letter back from the feds the other day that they just asked for one piece of information, and I've got to send them that piece of information. Awesome. The U.S. citizen, I can show you cases where they admit in different ways that, one, if you go under U.S. code and you go into UCC section, I'd have to go find it. I think it's in Article 9. It tells you location of the debtor. The location of the debtor is within the United States, called that 10-mile square, Washington, D.C. Now, the United States citizen is a federal citizen, and because we have all these federal citizens out in all these states running around here they're acting in interstate commerce, they have to be regulated. So they have to be licensed because they're doing business.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Thank you, Brian.
So I'll share, just have people contact me.
Yeah, we'll have you in the classes and everything like that. That would be awesome as well. I'm actually going to take it off YouTube